Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, which will be dedicated to soft skills and their importance, especially in a time such as this. I have Maria with me, who is the product expert for our SafeMetrix assessment. If you want to say hello, Maria.
Hello to everyone. Welcome to our webinar. As my colleague Emmanolia mentioned, I am Maria Synnou, and I am responsible for the research and development initiatives related to the SafeMetrix product line.
So with the coronavirus outbreak, leadership skills and soft skills are extremely important. Feel free, as we're going through the presentation, I will have my video off at certain times while I'm going through the presentation, and you can ask questions within the chat. We will be able to answer them as soon as the presentation is over. So I will start with the presentation. Like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be focusing on a situation that has impacted the entire world. Coronavirus has taken a toll on many industries, and as mentioned earlier, decision making has pretty much been a focus throughout all these industries, including the maritime industry. What I'll do now, I'll go ahead and start the presentation so we can see exactly what kind of impact our decisions have been making. So economies around the globe are entering into a period of profound change. Multiple countries, they have taken extreme measures to slow the spread of the virus and mitigate its impacts. Traveling is limited, borders are closed, all transport hubs, they're pretty much all being affected. So this is causing quite an issue, especially within the maritime industry. The ports are closed, ships are denied entry. However, it is vital to ensure that global trade is allowed to continue. It's critical that the flow of commerce by sea is not disrupted. And at the same time, the safety of life at sea also remains paramount. Right now, what we are dealing with, especially with the situation of crew changes, we cannot change our crews. They cannot make it home if we do. They're going into quarantine after quarantine just to try to make it home. During this crisis, hundreds of thousands of seafarers across the world are pretty much providing the frontline service to the global economy. And despite the risks they are facing, their ability and professionalism ensure the vital goods, including their medical supplies and food we all need, are delivered safely and with minimal impact to respond to this pandemic. These are the people that are far from home and their family. As the IMO Secretary General Kitak Lim stated, the shipping and seafarers need to continue our vital goods. And these are the people who have taken the most impact within our industry. So when we're talking about these critical times, many of them are unable to carry out the planned crew changes, right, as mentioned earlier. The limitations have the potential to cause severe disruption to the flow of the trade and the mental health of the seafarers. Furthermore, they may cause risk to overall safety at sea. So there's got to be a give or take relationship with this, that we are making sure our crews are safe. The health and welfare of seafarers are of the utmost importance, and this is what everybody needs to deal with at the moment, the challenges they face and continue to serve the general public. So while everything is shutting down, the availability of shipping services should be ensured. And this can be done safely for the benefit of humanity, which governments and companies should bear this in mind when framing their policy decisions with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. So how companies are dealing with this situation now more than ever is the time to focus on soft skills. So as you understand, everything goes to how governments, companies, and people make their decisions. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera back on because I do want some type of engagement with the audience at this. Decisions that companies are making at this point, these are decisions that usually take years to take place, right? There's planning, there's a strategy around them. With Corona, what happened was all of a sudden, everybody needed to go home. Your structure of your business changed. So leaders were called upon pretty much to make digitalization changes to their company. They needed to make sure that their employees were safe. We all need to make sure that there's continuity and resilience in our business. And when going into this topic, I would like for the decision makers who are on this webinar to tell me what kind of decisions did you have to make that's going to change not only your business from today's point of view, next month's point of view, or this could be how your business runs in the future. As we all see, there's companies in industries, especially where we are in Cyprus, where leaders had to all of a sudden, get their customers to use digital services, which like at the banks, especially with training, in the maritime industry, of course, with the training. So my first question to you guys out there is, how did you decide about the actions for your company and how to deal with this situation? A next question to you is, how resilient are your company and your people, especially to maintain the current situation and the current structure of your company? The last question I want to put out to you is how, especially for the ones here in the maritime that's joined us from the maritime industry, is how do you make sure that you are putting the right crew on board during this critical time? These questions, they open up so many issues and they open up so many hot topics. And right now, as the world mobilizes to mitigate the impact of coronavirus, there's a lot of uncertainty. The prolonged effects of our decisions on our employees, their welfare, the operations, supply chains, and the broader economy is arising from a global spreading infectious disease, right? We don't know when this might end. So right now, we need to focus on, do we have the right leaders in place based off of the skills they have, the main skills being resilient, being your decision making. These are the main skills of the leaders of today, this moment. And as I go through the slides, we are going to find out each soft skill. But make sure you write your answers to those 3 questions so that we can go ahead and maybe if we have enough time at the end of the presentation, we could probably discuss them as well. So in the case of resilience, right? However, the coronavirus outbreak underscores the need for business and society to be resilient and prepared to cope with such novel, stressful situations. This pandemic can allow companies to focus on people completely and ethically, listen to them and their needs, and drive up teamwork and resilience to deal with it. While nobody saw this coming, I know I didn't see this coming, the importance of soft skills is evident now and will remain essential in the future. Companies should understand that their decisions with impact on their employees' well-being, that knowledge comes with a sense of responsibility. Companies should make sure to have effective leaders, both ashore and on board, to make sure that they will be able to deal with such novel situations. These are people that will not panic during such situations, but will do what is necessary in order to succeed. Effective leaders, they should be able to paint a vision of getting to be the other side of the crisis. Companies and employees need to have a plan to be able to follow it instead of not having a plan. That would just cause confusion and more chaos, and then can possibly have a larger impact on your company. They should be focused on assessing and evaluating continuously changing situations, conditions, to be able to plan, coordinate accordingly. Imagine having a captain on board who has difficulties dealing with a current situation and does not convey reassurance that he or she will have to handle efficiently anything that may happen on board. On the contrary, you may have a master on board who is very dependable and considers the changing circumstances when deciding and coordinating. It is important to have those people who are able to show the way and reassure the rest of the crew that someone is focused on the overall course of action and safety of the vessel and crew. Everyone wants to have an able captain at the helm to steer the ship through the proverbial storm, right? In this way, people either ashore or on board will be able to complete their tasks and keep going rather than worrying about everything that is happening. This is what leadership is, right? And it's essential to give people the room to operate and trust that they can deliver. If you can't trust that they can deliver, then what's the point, really, especially now? Therefore, it's crucial to have the trust in and dependability on who you have employed. The next soft skill that we'll talk about is really the emotional composure. It is essential to have people, and moreover seafarers, who recognize this and help others process their emotions to maintain their mental health moving forward. There's ways that you can help with the mental health aspect, right? You can have the webinars, online webinars. You can have special trainings for people on board to recognize when someone is in emotional distress. When you take a genuine interest, especially with this type of time of the mental well-being of your crew on board, it would help in the resilience of that crew, right? Because you're helping them work through these issues, being away from their family from this pandemic. That's probably their number one focus. They don't know if their family is pretty much ill, right? They don't know if they're going to be ill. They don't know if they're going to infect their colleague next to them. And there's a lot of mental distress that's happening, and keeping up with that and making sure you can recognize that and assess this type of environment, it'll help with a smoother operation. Leaders should be able to offer the empathy. I'm a huge, how can I put it, believer of a leader with empathy. And they can find flexible solutions to those who are struggling and supporting. It's really important if you have people who manage to control their feelings and who can help others not panic during a stressful period. It's especially important when you are on a vessel on board. Ignoring any type of human side of challenging circumstances can pretty much leave employees feeling like they are alone, feeling disconnected, and they'll be left in their own minds trying to get through the difficult times. A good way to do this is imagine a seafarer who is on board, who's not able to handle his emotions, her emotions, and may stress the rest of the crew or react in interpersonally harsh ways because of the stress and the fear. And the point is that people are scared. This is why the companies have to create an atmosphere that can help this seafarer work through these emotions. Dependability. So these are the people that will not panic. I apologize. Is dependable, competent, cope under pressure, respect the people under this system, and listen to others. Oh, I lost my presentation. One moment, I apologize. By having these type of people on board who are dependable and competent to cope under pressure, who respect the people and the system, and listen to others, will help to create this sense of trust and collective thinking among the seafarers and the company. This will help seafarers last through an extended period of self-isolation on board the vessels and deal with the coronavirus disease as a whole. Companies should have all of these things mentioned in mind. People who possess these skills can be more effective and face these moments and deal with a crisis, which moments that not only define one as a leader, but also determine the future of the company. Therefore, companies should identify these people and put them in the right positions. Excuse me. In this way, they will have people prepared to pretty much navigate certain, and it's not just with this pandemic, they'll have people who are able to navigate through many hard, difficult situations that can take place in the future. So today we are all in front of an unprecedented crisis, and we have to make decisions and manage accordingly. What I've learned from this crisis is basically it's essential to focus on people by understanding needs, by trust, teamwork, resilience required to overcome this challenge. Companies should take time now to review their resilience in crisis. Their strategies or plans, prepare for any type of potential impacts in similar situations in the future. They should find ways to identify with people, the best people, and deal with such situations. The way you can do this is really taking interest in the training, development, assessing of your people that you have. Assessments are put in place not to find out bad apples, but they're there to make sure you have leaders. They're there to make sure you have people who would also connect your crews, and their skill set may be in one area that you would need, where you can place another one that will complement that person. make sure your teams are moving as a cohesive team, one unit. These type of situations that we have at the moment, especially on us leaders, we're thinking about so many different aspects. One, I know my experience, I'm thinking of the continuing business. I'm thinking about my employees. Are they safe at home? Would they be safer here? Cyprus doesn't have the essential worker, non-essential worker law. Should I have them stay at the office? Should I make sure they just stay home? It's up to me as the leader to make these type of decisions to make sure they're still performing so that the business needs are met. There's the training that you can give to your employees, especially during this time. You can really offer anything online. Same with soft skills assessment. I want to get back to your questions now that I'm done with the presentation, right? I did get through it a little bit quicker. Maybe I spoke a little too fast, but I'm kind of glad because it gives me maybe some one-on-one time with you guys, especially with Maria as well, who's who can help. She's a psychologist, so if you have any questions regarding certain soft skills, she can help work you through that in that way. But I do want to get some of your questions answered that you had. Okay, so Dimitri has a question, and I'll read out the question. Since it's not possible to make crew changes, we just continue until we are allowed to make crew changes. It is not up to the shipping companies for now. Problems on board ships will increase. Yes, so we did touch on this, right? But it is the problem of the company, the shipping companies, to make sure that their seafarers are at a good mental state. It is the problem of the shipping company to make sure they have everything needed training and development wise. As far as the mental state wise, I'm going to open this up to Maria because she is the expert, right? She's a psychologist, so she can help with this.
Sure. We know that it's hard to make the crew changes, and it is very hard for the seafarers on board to continue and persevere, do a lot of tasks without having any time to rest or manage their feelings, knowing that the time that they should have been at home came, but they are not able to do so. This is why we need to have people on board that are able to continue working despite the stress they have, despite the fatigue they have, and be resilient enough to maintain their functioning and continue and deal with the operations, even if they have to stay on board for more time than they expected to be.
Thank you, Maria, for answering that. Thank you, Dimitri, for your question. Are there any more? We have Pooja, who asks, how should I know if my crew has good decision-making or resilience skills? Do I have to wait for COVID-19 to test them? No, you do not. You do not have to wait for COVID-19 to test them or any other type of situation that can occur. There are assessments out there. There are psychometrics assessments out there. Not all psychometrics assessments are created equal. You have those who are assessing personalities, but the assessment that you want to focus on are the ones with the soft skills, such as SafeMetrix. It does assess soft skills, and you're able to see, you could utilize an assessment tool like this for promotions, for hiring. You can use it if a situation came to happen on board. You can use it in so many different ways. I want to highlight, you do not want to use a psychometric assessment to pretty much pick out the bad apples of your bunch, right? This is not what this type of tool is for. This tool is for you as companies to know who you have on board and for you to make the decision if you want to develop them. I'm a firm believer in development, but that's another story. I hope I've answered that question. Maria, do you want?
I just want to add that this crisis should be used in order to be proactive and better prepared in the future, and in order to be better prepared for any similar situations, which no one wish for. It's important to assess the people we have in order to know their weaknesses, their strengths, and in order to help them train and develop their weaknesses, as Emmanolia said, and make sure that we have the right people on board in case such a crisis comes again.
Thank you, Maria. Okay. Nicholas, from my side, we are okay with our crew on board. They already signed their COE extensions until May. Okay. For those, they have expired COE until this month. The thing is that we do not know the effects we will have for the ones that they are still ashore, waiting to embark, and the ones on board for how much time they will still have to wait. Yes, this is a big problem everywhere, which is the impact on this. We don't know exactly how long the impact for those will take place. I know the feeling that how are you, Nicholas, as a company trying to alleviate this? If there's a way that we can get Nicholas to chat his answer, how you are as a company are doing, what you are doing to alleviate this. No? In the meantime, if we could get Nicholas to chat, we'll answer another question. Eleni, also for the people that were supposed to have gone on board, we are home with no income and no prospects for work or financial help. We could be on training for risk management. This is, you know what, there's a lot of things, yes. Companies need to understand this, and there should be some type of resources for you guys who are at home with no income. And there should be, in the States, we have EAP services, which is a company can have where we can link employees or to psychologists, counseling services. We can also link our employees to certain resources like mental health webinars or mental health trainings. I'm going to open this up to Maria as well, because
sure.
I already told you guys why.
This is a very important point and question, just to highlight that not only the seafarers and people that are on board which are affected, but anyone, even people that are staying home without any income. And this is again where soft skills come into play. And this is why companies should assess in order to know their people's strengths and weaknesses, and be able to provide them, even now when we are in this situation, the appropriate training to help them alleviate all the emotions and the symptoms they may face during this situation. Research shows that people who are resilient are able to cope better within this situation and maintain their functioning despite the difficulties they may face, which are difficulties that all of us face.
Oh, this one. Do you offer free consultation these days to help maritime companies deal with the current situation? We do. I mean, if you wanted to, you can contact us and we can help you detect the important soft skills that need to be assessed, that we found that need to be assessed. We can give you how to interpret these soft skills. All you would have to do is either contact us directly, email, through the SafeMetrix website. We can be contacted through there, and you can set up a consultation where we can give you a run through of the soft skills. Anastasia, what about other skills which are not soft? Can and how could they be helpful to deal with the current situation? Maria, I'm going to let you answer.
Skills are important. I mean, we all want to have people either on board or ashore that possess also the technical skills and knowledge required in order to be able to function and do the tasks that have to be done. However, you can imagine a person who possesses all the technical knowledge, all the technical skills. He can be very clever, but imagine if he wasn't able to manage his feelings, if he wasn't able to communicate with others about the situation, interact with them in order to find ways to deal with all the changes that are currently happening, and being able to adjust and make the appropriate decisions based on all these changes. Even if he possesses technical skills and the knowledge of how things should be done, if he doesn't possess the soft skills required, the most possible is that he will struggle during this situation.
Thank you, Maria. And Dimitri, the new situation is not normal. Yes. If a 6-month contract becomes a 9 to 10 months contract, it is very difficult to accept and deal with. The only solution is to find ways to make crew changes. Till now, states focus on applying their own protocols by closing everything without thinking of the welfare of the seafarers. And you are absolutely correct. No one thought about the impact, and this goes into decision making, right? Leadership skills, the decision making, making sure you have the least possible impact. They thought about what would happen country by country. They thought about what would happen with aviation. They thought about what would happen with the finance industry. They've made them essential, right? The shipping industry. They didn't think about the people who are going to be on a boat in the middle of nowhere, and then they would need to get home. And I know there's a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are lobbying at the moment, trying to get pretty much borders open for these seafarers. I've had so many discussions regarding this topic, and pretty much, like I said, the call to action here, I know it's nothing that the shipping company has done themselves, but the call to action is making the shipping company take an interest in the welfare of that seafarer, and making sure that their mental state, their skills are still relevant and working, and that they are essentially okay. Maria, I don't know if you want to add anything to that
I
as
just
well.
want to add the importance of the decision making, and that, as Emmanolia said during her presentation, these are the periods of time where people should come first. We know that economics will be affected, companies will be affected, governments had to make very difficult decisions, and they tried to take everything into consideration, but in many cases it seems that they forgot to consider the potential consequences for people like our seafarers.
Stefanos, is the adoption of digital transformation and the corresponding training as much as important as the placement of right people on board, the ones with the right physical and mental characteristic? I mean, can the one exist without the other? This is a very good question. I really like this question. Digital transformation. So you've touched on all three topics that I feel strongly about: digital transformation, training, and the well-being, and making sure we have people, the right people on board. Digital transformation is key to the expansion of the maritime industry, whether it be digital online trainings, whether it be equipment on board, whether it be digital certificates. And then, yes, you need to make sure you have some type of assessment, like our product expert built the soft skills assessment, to make sure everything ties together. Because if you don't have the right people on board, you do not have the right people to operate what has the new equipment that's come on board, and to work the teams that are required to operate as well. Because with digital transformation, there's going to be new requirements, and there's going to be a new type of seafarer that's developed, right? So the key piece is making sure you have the right people. So this is your main thing. The training and development is after that, and then your resilience or continuity on board, if you want to call it that way, that comes with the right people who are trained and developed to operate the machinery. But yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything.
With the digitalization of everything, it's even more important to have people who have the soft and cognitive skills to be able to perform on board, because many systems, many tasks are redefined nowadays because of digital transformation, because of the changes due to coronavirus. So you need people who are able to adjust, who are able to make decisions and coordinate and manage all these factors. And it's their minds and their attitudes that will help to come to digital transformation.
That was a very good question. I enjoyed that one. The problem, Panayota, the problem with the crew is that they need to deal with the possibility of spread, yes, due to uncontrolled procedures in terminals in many countries. This is quite hard in comparison with shore staff, where we can control the hazard of spread. How to enhance resilience in this aspect? I'll go ahead and let Maria answer.
This is hard, and it's important to be in contact with these people all the time to ensure that they have the space to express their own feelings, their own behavior, their own opinions, share whatever comes to their mind in order to be able to alleviate their feelings and help them deal with the situation and continue functioning despite the stress that exists on board. We know that it's very difficult, and again, this is a key point which every company should use, and to make sure that in the future they are proactive. It's not easy to teach resilience or develop resilience now within, let's say, 5, 10, 20 days while you are in a stressful situation. But if, let's say, you have assessed that 2, 3, 4 months ago and you could be able to provide some kind of training, they should probably have even more resilience to deal with situations like this.
Thank you, Maria. Anita, with the current situation, is there a simple test activity that we can encourage on board management to conduct to help with their team's mental stress, especially for those already way beyond their EOC? Maria, this is another good question for you.
Something specific to assess the mental health status they are in right now. However, while assessing soft skills, you can have a general idea of how they function in general. So you can see if there is any potential weakness, and during this critical period, you may, as a company, deal with it in a more active way and engage with, especially with the seafarers that seems to struggle in a better way, and keep an eye on them. Let's say if you assess and identify that some people may have a potential weakness in resilience, or in general they seem to struggle to cope under pressure, then what you can do as a company right now is to keep an eye on them and be in contact with them frequently in order to ensure that things are okay on board.
William. Vasilis, could you please give me an example of a bad decision making in the industry these days, and how would you incorporate soft skills in that situation? Maria, this is you too.
Okay, so in general, shipping is very complex, and on board situations, in general, demand for the willingness to take decisions, and especially in cases where there are extreme measures such as this. Many accidents and incidents in the past have been associated with human error and the lack of decision-making skills, or the delay to make a decision or manage things accordingly. I can give you an example, not from currently that happened during the coronavirus, but in the past. For example, after the Costa Concordia disaster and the investigation that was done, the captain himself confessed in making judgment error. And consider that he was not under extreme situations such as this. So you can understand the importance of decision making and other soft skills in general, especially during the pandemic we are facing now. Everyone has to re-examine their routines. People that are on board now, they are facing new systems, new structures, new procedures that they have to deal with, and they have to take everything into consideration in order to make efficient and good decisions. People with poor decision making may fail to follow the protocols that exist right now, and this can lead to risking the safety at sea. So decision making is very, very important during this situation.
Alexandros, do you believe that could be good from companies to give any motivation at the crew during this period? And if yes, what should be good motivation? Yes, I think it's absolutely paramount and very important that companies should give crews some type of motivation. Especially the actual leaders, the high leaders within that company, because there's nothing more satisfying than someone who you feel that wouldn't sometimes recognize me in a way because they're so far up, actually bringing that motivation to everyone within that company. Maria, is there any type of motivation things that they can do?
It goes up to each company how they want, let's say, to thank their seafarers. It is very good to give them motivation, because everyone, when he has a motivation, either this is, let's say, for example, money, or some kind of holidays afterwards, or anything that you can imagine. If you have something to wait for that you want and you like, it gives you some strength, some more strength to keep trying and keep waiting until all this situation is gone.
Luca, I'm a large yacht captain and we have no rotations, all permanent crew. We have been aboard and quarantined without the possibility to step ashore since March 13th, even though we are moored in a port. The crew is in great shape, that's awesome, has great resilience and responds good to crew team building activities, but we now fear the loss of employment. What sort of tools and soft skills would you suggest we might use to fight this fear? Maria, this is you.
This is a great example of the good resilience and the team building activities that it is a good tool for every company to use in order to help their seafarers, and it is normal for other people to have things like that. However, it is also important to give them the space to share these thoughts and understand that this is not only affecting them, but everyone around. And as you described, if they have all these skills that already help them gone through for almost 1 month and be able to function properly, this will be seen by all the potential employers, let's say, or the existing ones. And in the future, they are going to help them to be employed even again, or not even lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm. More questions. If crew contract over and stayed more than 12 months, if any specific requirements for port state control, immigration, such as crew, will not allow if crew stayed over 12 months on board. In this case, it's possible to consider this present situation COVID-19 to avoid any penalty. I think this is beyond, I don't know, I don't want to give you any advice regarding any avoiding penalties or anything like this, because I could be completely wrong. I don't want to do that. Maria, do you have an answer? No? Okay. Oh, we can't hear you, Maria. Oh, we lost you, Maria. Yeah.
As I said before, I don't have a question. I don't have an answer for the last question, but since things are constantly changing, we're not the ones responsible for having the answer for it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's any more questions. Well, thank you. If you noticed, we did put the Understanding Soft Skills, the guide for crewing managers, for you to download. So make sure you go ahead and download this resource. We would love to have your feedback on how the webinar went. And I hope you guys stay safe. I hope everybody's families are okay. And together, what we have to do is keep on ensuring that this pandemic goes away as fast as possible. All right, have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.